Caseus. Ashes of the Order. Chapter 14. Neither Caseus nor Leara were able to make any sense of what happened. Everything seemed so real. They had both felt the dry air, touched the dirt. It couldn't have just been a dream. It had to have been something else. But then why did Pip say that they had been sleeping the entire time? Why had he not been transported to Korriban? And if it had been a dream, how did Caseus and Leara experience the same dream?
Yoo-hoo! Captain!
Caseus looked over at Pip, standing outside the doorway of Leara's quarters.
Ready to go?
Caseus looked at Leara. She was still visibly disturbed. I'll go talk to General Press. Leara, are you going to be okay here with Pip for a little while? Leara held on to Caseus tightly but nodded, as he slowly let go of her and made his way to the ramp.
Captain, what's going on with you guys? Did I miss something?
I can't explain it, Pip. Keep her company. I'll be back soon. Pip saluted Caseus, who took one more look at Leara before stepping off the ramp and into Scandrea station. As he walked through the hangar, he was approached by two rebel soldiers who greeted him before leading him to the briefing room. General Press will be with you shortly. Thank you. Staring into the large glowing holomap, Caseus looked at all the different systems he had traveled to over the years. Blengeel, Dantooine, Kelja, Bespin, Artis. And from each one, he traced all of it back to Coruscant. When he closed his eyes, he could still picture the Jedi Temple, clear as crystal in his mind. He could remember by heart the way to his old quarters, the training grounds, the room of 1,000 fountains. All memories now. He didn't know what became of the Jedi Sanctuary, if it had been left to ruin after Order 66, or if Palpatine had defiled it, turned it into a monument to his greatest achievement. He didn't know. And he didn't want to.
Master Jedi.
Caseus turned around and saw a man of the Duros species approach, garbed in military attire. General.
I apologize for the sudden call, but troubling news has reached us. And you were the only one who we believe may be able to help.
I'll do what I can. What's the situation? General Press walked over to the holomap and zoomed in on a small planet in the outer rim.
This is Bakura. It's an Imperial-governed planet. Over the past several months, we've sent our spies to the system to gather intelligence on one man.
The general activated the holoprojector, and Caseus' eyes were met with the image of a broad-shouldered man in elegant garments and a flowing cloak.
Minister Locke Tanban, handpicked by the Emperor himself to govern over the citizens of Bakura. All we have been able to gather from him is that he is not someone to underestimate. As cruel as he is cunning.
Seems like bad news. What does this have to do with me?
Over the past year, we've sent 12 of our most experienced spies to Bakura to find out more about him. Only 2 managed to escape. We heard nothing more from the others. A month ago, one of our men went to Bakura despite explicit orders not to go.
Why did he go?
He was under the impression that his brother may be down there. We haven't heard from him since. If he's still alive, there's a chance that he may be with other rebel prisoners. We need someone with your experience to liberate them.
I am sorry about your men, General. But I was very deliberate in my terms when I joined forces with the Alliance. I can't take the risk of getting involved with high-profile Imperial leaders. My survival is dependent on my secrecy. If you need a Jedi for this mission, I suggest you speak to Guidome Haywikin.
That would be something of a problem.
What?
Guidome has not reported back to us in over 3 weeks. We tried to recruit him for this mission given your current situation with your apprentice. However, we are left with very few options at this point. Caseus, innocent lives are at stake. We have good men down there in need of liberation. If you can get them out and get them back here, this isn't what I signed up for, General. If Gaidome is missing, that's all the more reason for me to stay out of this one.
I'd say it's all the more reason for you to help us. Caseus turned around and saw Zaturi enter the briefing room.
Zaturi. Captain Zaturi and her crew have graciously volunteered to take part in this mission. You have first-hand experience with them. I'm certain that with your help you can pull this off.
And if we fail, you lose 2 Jedi and the entire crew of the Arabella. Is it worth that risk? Caseus, I can't figure you out sometimes. 13 years ago, you were prepared to go after Vader himself, despite the odds being stacked against you. Now you're afraid to aid us in an extraction mission. If you don't recall, that mission failed miserably. And I have a lot more at stake now than I did then. What if something happens to me? What happens to Leara then? Who's going to complete her training? What if something happens to her? I'm not willing to put her life at risk for something like this. There you go again, making the same excuse you did back on Felucia. Caseus, you put her life at risk the moment you took her as your apprentice. And so far, things have worked out well enough. I know for a fact that you're strong enough to go up against whatever we may face on Bakura. But for some reason, you don't seem to place much faith in Leara. That's not true. It sure seems like it. With everything the two of you have faced together, you still don't think Leara is strong enough to face danger by your side. You can't shelter her forever, Caseus. I'm not sheltering her. Then what would you call it? How are you two supposed to aid the Alliance if you're not willing to allow risk into your life? Our lives are already constant risk. We have a plan, Caseus. You won't be going in blind. And what plan is this? How well have you thought this through? That's why we need you and Leara. If we went down there alone, we'd be killed if we got caught. But with Jedi support, I know we can accomplish our goal. Caseus stayed silent and looked at Zaturi. Okay, suppose we go down there, and somehow we make it to where the rebel prisoners are kept. What then? Where are they even being kept? General Press pulled up a hologram of the minister's palace.
The intel recovered from Bakura suggests that any enemy captives are most likely held in Tanbin Palace.
Are you kidding? Look at that place. It's a fortress. There'll be stormtroopers all over the place. How do we break in and expect to get out without being noticed? I'm working on it. The tough part will be escaping. No, the tough part will be taking on their forces if we're spotted. You are making this more difficult than it has to be. Maybe try thinking with a bit of optimism. I'm not being pessimistic, I'm being realistic. I fought many battles, Zaturi. And I guarantee that if we do this, it's not going to go well. Maybe. But our comrades need help. I'm not going to abandon them. You go do what you think is best. If you're not going to help us, we'll go in alone. There you go again, trying to guilt me into helping you. It's not a guilt trip, Caseus. You've made up your mind. And I've made up mine. With or without you, I'm going to Bakura. Zaturi left the briefing room as Caseus looked back to General Press.
I understand that you have some concerns, Caseus. But we need all the help we can get. Think it over.
Caseus shook his head and left the briefing room. Meanwhile, Leara was sitting in her quarters, still trying to process what happened. As she looked out the window, she saw Bendel sitting by the Arabella and stared at him. Just seeing him brought her comfort, though why she wasn't exactly sure. As she stepped off the ramp, Bendel saw her and turned to her smiling. Leara! Leara smiled uneasily and hugged him tightly. You all right? Yeah, it's been difficult lately. Training, I mean. What are you guys doing here? We're heading to Bakura. There's rebel prisoners down there that need us to get them out. That's all I was told. Zaturi says she was going to talk to Caseus and try to get you guys to help us. I don't see why we can't. We're supposed to do our part after all. Good to hear. You all right? You look a little off. Leara brushed a few strands of dark red hair from her face. I'll be all right. Where's this mission? Bakura, Imperial-controlled planet out past Endor. We could really use 2 Jedi. I'll talk to my master. As though he had heard her, Caseus walked into the hangar and made his way over to Leara. Master, Bendel says they need our help on Bakura.
Leara. Bendel, can you give us a minute?
Bendel nodded his head and walked back to the Arabella as Caseus turned his attention back to Leara.
We're not going.
But why?
Leara, helping out the Alliance now and then as informants is one thing. But sneaking into an Imperial world to break out prisoners from a fortress is another. There's far too much risk involved here.
So you're just gonna let our friends go in alone? If you don't think we could help them, what chance would they have alone?
Saturi said they're going with or without us. She's already committed to this mission. We, on the other hand, are heading back to Tula.
Of course she's going. She knows it's the right thing to do.
It would also be the right thing to stop the slave trade in the Outer Rim. That doesn't mean it's possible. The right thing means nothing if you can't achieve it.
You know what your problem is, Caseus? You're scared. As soon as there's the slightest chance that we could be found out, your first instinct is to bury your head in the sand and hope no one sees you.
You're stepping out of line, apprentice. I'm doing what I have to do to keep us safe. Slight chance? This is far more than a slight chance, Leara. It's near certainty. I promised that I would train you and keep you safe from harm.
Well, you've done such a great job so far. Look what happened on Cloud City. And on Felucia.
I wasn't the one who volunteered us for that mission, Leara. We were there because I gave you a choice.
And where's that choice now? Why don't I have a say in this?
You don't have a say in this because you will die if you go down there.
Leara and Caseus stared angrily at each other, their tempers hot. Nice to see you have faith in me, Master.
Get back on the Nebulous. I'm going to restock our supplies. We'll talk about this later.
Caseus turned from Leara and walked back into the station. Leara was fuming. How could he doubt her this much? To not even give her a say in the matter. And letting their friends go alone? She wouldn't have it. Grabbing her gear quickly, Leara made her way over to the Arabella where Zaturi was making final preparations to leave. Leara? You and your master are heading back to Tula, I take it? No, actually. We're going to help you. I talked to Caseus and made him see reason. Really? That's a rare feat. Very well. We'll meet you two at the coordinates and talk strategy when we arrive. Actually, Caseus is going to restock the Nebulous. I'll head there with you guys and he'll meet us there. Zaturi raised an eyebrow, but shrugged. Suit yourself. Hop on board. Leara stepped on board the Arabella, followed by Zaturi, who closed the ramp. After a few minutes, they took off out of the hangar and set a course for Bakura. A few minutes later, Caseus returned to the Nebulous with a few crates of power converters, water canisters, and tools for the ship. Stepping on board, he set them down. Leara, help me load the last of these few crates and we'll get going. Leara? Leara!
Captain?
Pip, where's Leara? We have to head back to Tula.
I thought she was with you.
Well, where could she... Oh, you have got to be joking. Caseus opened Leara's quarters and searched all over the ship for her. Damn it!
What's wrong?
Leara jumped ship and went with the Arabella to Bakura.
Ah, the rebellious teen years.
Pip, this isn't a joke. We need to get to Bakura and fast.